Hey, it's night. Today we're going to be talking about power creep, how it's bad for the game obviously, and how it potentially is costing hoyo money in the long run, and also killing player perception. Let's get into it. Look, player satisfaction and outlook towards the game is incredibly important, and I think right now HSR is in a very bad state as far as perception goes. I've seen a lot of people stating that they are not going to cover HSR going forward. I've seen people making statements saying that they're not going to spend money on HSR going forward, including myself. So overall, having a bad taste towards the game is horrible. This causes people to lose faith in the company and to lose confidence in the longevity of the game, aka to lose confidence in investing finances into the game. Power creep specifically, though, could be quite powerful in demonstrating the fact that the developers are unaware of what they're adding to the game and how it impacts the player experience, or that they're just out of touch with the current state of the game and the specific power thresholds that we're already reaching. This causes further distaste for the player and worsens the confidence that the player has for the devs and the direction of the game. And obviously with the negativity, there will be coverage from content creators such as myself and even larger content creators that have far more overreaching impact and influence on the overall populations that would be playing these games, and they are dissuading them from joining the game or from even playing the game further and aka spending money on the game, right? So this is a big issue, and yeah, let's continue. So before we get into the power creep issue specifically, I want to talk about how creating long-lasting characters is very beneficial for the game. Having characters that have lasting power creates a legacy around them. Look at Hu Tao. This character has been great since her conception. Not to mention her design and her personality were already liked by the community, but you add to this that she has been relevant meta-wise for so long, and she has only gained tools to be used even further, and you can still use her today to clear the endgame. This creates a legacy around the character. It creates recognition for the game, and is very important for a game designer like Hoyo who specializes in creating characters. I mean, look at Disney, look at Pokemon. They've created household designs that people know, they recognize, they can name. This is incredibly important for profits, right? This is very big. Not only do you have the potential to create an iconic, long-lasting character, you also incentivize a positive outlook towards your game and towards your practices, and it instills confidence. Unlike the latter discussion we just had, it instills confidence and increases the perception and the value of your company because people trust you more and they're appreciative that they can use their Hu Tao still, the product that they purchased. We'll get into that. Now, like I said, product. Look, these characters, to guarantee their assertion, can cost up to $200, right? That's a lot of ba-bang, ba-boom, you know? So think about in real life, if you were to purchase, let's say maybe a tablet, an entry-level tablet, and then they announce in a couple months, there will be a new version of Android. And now your tablet doesn't support that new version of Android, and it is irrelevant, right? Now, obviously, I'm being a bit hyperbolic. Your old tablet isn't useless now, and your old characters aren't useless due to power creep. However, they are selling us a product, and I think it's important to emphasize that we should be satisfied, at least for a while, with the product that we've purchased from a company, Hoyo. I mean, in real life, if you buy a product with real life money, you expect to be satisfied, and you expect it to have some sort of longevity, right? I mean, money isn't growing on trees. Money's been tight for me. I don't know about you. I'm not the bald man, and I'm not talking about Dick Tone. I'm talking about Jeff Bezos sitting in his high tower, spending money on gacha waifus, lavishing his life up with booba. You know, we don't all have the opportunity to do so. So I feel like we should, at a baseline. So let's get back to power creep. So I myself have just begun to start clearing HSR endgame. I've been able to 36 star the MOC finally. It's been a long time coming. Woo! Only took months of grinding every day. Wow. However, now I find that I am far more apprehensive when it comes to picking up new characters or planning for which characters I want to pull, because I'm worried that they're not going to be meta-defining or meta-centric, and I'm worried that my overall power level of my account will diminish or decrease. This is very bad because I'm not open to more niche characters anymore. I find that in Genshin, I am far more open to picking up more niche characters because I feel as though the meta is far less stringent and I have more options to carry this strange character that may not be fully developed yet, or they've demonstrated to me that they will eventually release characters to support this character, except for Eula, rest in peace. Mika does not count. Anyways. This issue also results in less diverse account rosters across the population of the game and diversity in polls. So people are specifically banking on specific banners, which could also result in more predatory practices, such as anniversary characters like Castris, where Hoyo could put all of their eggs into one basket because they know that players will pull for the power level pushing characters, power defining characters. And so, since apprehension increases, people will look to inform themselves better, and so players will be more apt to looking into leaks. This creates a more informed populace. Now, I will say that this is probably more so on the higher end or the more hardcore audience. However, this does result in a loss of money for the more creative pursuits that Hoyo looks to make, and it also discourages them in certain ways because these creative characters will not sell as much and then they will take less risks, right? And I know I stated that this only applies to the hardcore audience, but it is incredibly important to keep your hardcore audience pleased because these are the ones that will be talking to their friends about your game. These are the ones that will recognize your company name when you make a new game, and they will try your new game. The casual audience does pay a lot of money to the game, and they are willing to probably pay for some of these more creative characters. However, these players will not have carryover retention. They will not be the ones that will recognize your brand when you make another game because they simply don't care. They are just there for Paimon, for silly colors, for exploration, which is fine. Enjoy the game how you want. However, I'm just emphasizing the fact that hardcore audiences are important to appease. And back to the discussion of creative characters not getting the chance to shine, this is something that we've seen a lot in Genshin and in Star Rail. They will release a character that hasn't been fully developed yet, or doesn't have the supports necessary for it to run at its highest potential, or the relic set hasn't been released yet for it to function at its highest potential. Power creep could serve to prevent these characters from ever taking off because eventually there will be less and less people pulling for them and less money being made off of them. At the end of the day, character design, personality, animations, all of those matter and they will sell to casuals. However, the bottom line is that this is directly costing Hoyo money in some degree, right? This is hurting their bottom line and is a net negative for them. And then we talk about the devaluation of their older characters. The older characters have become far less appealing because only those that are dedicated to their design or personality or lore or etc. will be the ones that focus on pulling them. So this is a double net negative because one, we are putting money, hours, effort into designing these characters and their art and building their persona and selling them, only to then power creep them and make them far less efficient and dissuade potential people from getting them in the future, or aka dissuade potential buyers in the future. So now you're losing money on your cost to create character, and then you're ruining the perception of character by creating new higher level power characters that diminish the value of your pre-existing characters. I mean, at the end of the day, we are like roaches, man. We want to see big number, big flashy animation, lights everywhere. The TISM needs to be stimulated. And these new characters, they push that envelope. And the farther and farther that we go, not just in terms of damage, but in shine and appeal, this only serves to further desensitize the buyer and make them want more. So the higher you go in damage threshold, specifically since we're talking about power creep, this now makes other damage numbers seem worse or feel worse for the player, the end user, and thus we need to continue to push past this level to make the consumer feel something, to evoke an emotion, right? And this only gets worse and worse. It's a slippery slope. And since they are a business and they seek to serve their wallets, they will do what they must to increase money. So I'm not very confident that they will stop the power creep, unfortunately. But we can protest with our wallets. We have the buying power. Look, I know when COVID was happening, we had maybe more liquidity that we could throw at the game. I did, for sure. But as I'm starting to struggle a bit more, you know, I'm starting to see that some of this has affected me very negatively, and I'm starting to identify some of the more predatory aspects of these games. I do not wish to shame anybody. I do not wish to make anybody feel bad. I just want to make people aware of these things because they are important, and these things would not be tolerated in other industries, but gacha games get to do this. So I'm not sure why that is, but it's something that people need to be made aware of. So how can we fix this? How can we fix power creep, or how could they have looked to avoid having such bad levels of power creep? Well, I'm not a game designer, but I am a gamer. I hate that word. Look, if we look at a game like Pokemon, or even a lot of traditional RPGs or JRPGs, which I would be very apt to say that Genshin is a RPG, or it is at least modeled after an RPG. These games, specifically Pokemon, they have parameters set for the total amount of stat points dedicated to a Pokemon. And so these individual stat points are then assigned to substats, aka special attack, physical attack, etc., etc. These stats matter very much and change the way that the Pokemon performs. Not only that, it creates a limit to potential power. So we know that the most powerful Pokemon will be contained within this number of stats, meaning that we don't go past this number of stats. This means that the power level of the characters in the gacha games is predetermined outside of the influence that relics and artifacts have. They don't have parameters of power that they're contained within. Instead, they create the character at the power level that they wish to sell to us. I believe that the designer should predetermine a level of power that should never be passed. Let's look at Mawika in Genshin Impact. She should be the apex damage character. She should never be surpassed in damage for the health and integrity of the game and for the remaining DPS characters in the game. The only healthy way I feel that they can proceed after Mawika to avoid power creep is to make characters that perform below her level or equal to her level with new enticing mechanics or different playstyles, such as what we're seeing with Varessa and her plunge playstyle, right? Or even more diverse or dynamic options than that. But I'm not the game designer, and I'm not going to give Hoyo design ideas because I can't fucking be bothered. I'd be rich if I knew how to do all that stuff, you know? It is what it is. So at the end of the day, just be aware of what you're paying and what product you're buying, and you as a consumer have all of the power, and we should be satisfied with our purchases. And them power creeping our old waifus is causing dissatisfaction with me, and I'm sure with a lot of others, and that does not make me happy. And I will not spend money on HSR going forward, as I've already stated, because I am done with the slop. I'm done with the bullshit. Like, just fix the damn game. Be aware of what the hell you're putting into the game. Be conscious of your consumers. Give a shit, man. Give a shit. You better hope that this 1.0 character power increase actually helps the game and actually is relevant, which I'm hearing it's not going to be. Or Jesus, man, there are going to be more and more people leaving this game. But either way, I digress. Be responsible, have fun, enjoy your games, but don't let your games take you over. This has been Knight. I'll catch you on the next one.